G'day, freedom lovers. How are we today? Got your sipping hats on? Like a bit of Queensland's finest, a bit of Bundy on Australia Day. That's how we roll. Should probably have the microphone a bit closer, but at least you got the opportunity to see my wonderful Australia Day T-shirt, letting everybody who's protesting against Australia know what I think of them. So, without further ado, we should probably load in some of these things that I was getting ready because, as usual, running behind time with too many ideas and not enough time to do them in. So bear with me for a moment. But how's everybody's Australia Day going? Let's see what everybody's up to. Obviously, not everybody's out there partying because I can see people rolling into the room now. More and more coming in as we speak. Let's go into this folder and to that folder and that one and grab all these and bring them in. All righty then. So it's pretty shameful to see some of the things that are happening so far in our wonderful land of the allegedly free. You know, good old make a elbow go away is still a big, strong proponent here in Australia, I think, as Trump goes in there and makes all world leaders look like absolute idiots really quickly. You know, we got to work hard here in Australia because we've got a lot of catching up to do. There is, of course, the vain hope that what Trump's doing will rub off on Australians as soon as possible, because I think we're all kind of sick of this kind of behaviour here. You know, and other amazing behaviour that's been happening throughout Australia Day has been a bit sad. But first, I'd like to acknowledge the Townsville Bulletin. Like, I mean, they love me. I know you guys are watching right now. You befriended me on X. It was very kind of you to monitor what we're doing. So I just thought I'd share some of your fine work. As pointed out to me today, 300 meters of rain is on its way in a tropical low. Struth, I hope everyone's got their boats ready. These guys have really outdone themselves this time. What a whopper. You know, the usual conspiracy theories of Troy Thompson being blackballed weren't bad enough. They now have to predict 300 meters of rain. Not good. Thanks, Kerry. It is a good shirt, isn't it? Got to support Australian businesses wherever you can. Washington State. So, yeah, what else have we got here? So, Australia Day should really look like this. That's what it should look like. Everybody having a good time, couple of tinnies in hand, down at the beach, enjoying yourself, you know. Unfortunately, we're getting things a little bit more like this. And just give me a second to bring this in to play. And we've got Captain Cook's statue in Sydney East vandalised with red paint. Hand and nose cut off 2 days before Australia. How kind of them. It really, you know, it's pretty disgraceful behaviour. But are we surprised? Because the same thing happened last year. So, I mean, again, where was the law enforcement, you know, sort of hanging around providing some security for this poor statue, you know? It happened once. It's clearly happened again. Will the alleged police department actually get involved, or even some form of security be added for next year's, or will they continue to allow this nightmare to happen? You know, of course, the mayor reckons here vandalism has no place in the public discussion, yet he didn't seem to do anything to, you know, protect the statue, even though it happened last year. And vandalism is an illegal act that does divisive to... Sorry, I've had to stop taking my medication because I'm actually struggling to see. It's done something to my eyes. Blurry vision is pretty bad, so I have to bear with me. My reading's going to be a bit poor today. You know, I'm going to blow it up a bit. It might help. So, community and disservice to reconciliation. So, you can see here, it's all happening. Not a great thing, eh? We really should be looking after our friends and here in Australia instead of attacking everyone. Poor, innocent people likes this statue. Of course, there's plenty of articles on it. When is the National Cabinet meeting on anti-whiteism? That's a good question. I'd like to know the answer to that one because, you know, I thought racism was racism. It didn't need to be specific to any specific race because that would make it racist in itself. Wouldn't you agree? So yeah, monuments kicked over and all sorts of stuff. It's just utter madness, 2025 has also seen the largest crowds gather for Invasion Day protests and events in capital cities across the city. Now, for those of you who have been watching a long time, we did do the Red Ensign video quite some time ago where we went back and explained the history of the flag and how Australia Day was actually originally back in, I think it was July, if memory serves me correctly, the last weekend of July, and it was to honor those who fought for the country. Somewhere along the line, it got changed to the 26th of January. Does it really matter what day it is? Now, there was a video that was sent to me, and I will warn you, the language in this is even better than mine. You thought I could throw the word fuck into just about any sentence. This lady does it even better than I do. So if you're offended by swearing, I advise you plug your ears for a moment, because she really lets it rip. So give me a second to bring it up. Here we go. The Aussie trucker lady.
How are you today? I am fucking fabulous. Sun is shining, wheels are turning. Just got my second load on for the day. Heading out of the paddock now. Gonna head down to fucking Tunney, get sampled, and then cruise on down to Cranbrook. I'm gonna weigh in on Australia Day because every year it's the same fucking bullshit. And as an Indigenous Australian, I think my 5 cents is fucking justified. So, firstly, I'm a proud Australian and I celebrate Australia Day. And I fucking hate other Indigenous people who incite hatred and disrespect over the 26th of fucking January. It's a fucking date, and it wouldn't matter if you changed it to the fucking 6th of December or the 11th of July or the 29th of fucking February. You cunts would still find something to fucking whinge about. Fuck me. Why don't you just be thankful that 1, you're fucking alive, and 2, that you live here in Australia? And stop using it as a fucking cop-out. Both my grandfathers were Anzacs, and they fought for this fucking country, and I'm extremely proud of that. So, yeah, I am a proud fucking Australian. And I find it disrespectful from anybody or any fucking corporate company, for that fucking fact, who decides that they don't want to celebrate Australia Day. I hope, and this is to the fucking corporates, I hope that no cunt turns up to your fucking venues any fucking more, let alone Australia Day, you disrespectful fucking mob of ignorant cunts. And to anybody else out there who wants to fucking spread hatred and division over a fucking day, pull your head out of your fucking ass, you muppet. Alright, definitely sorry, not sorry on this one. How about just all fuck off, enjoy being Australian, enjoy this glorious fucking day, enjoy the fact that you're fucking breathing, and yeah, fuck off. Alright, as always people, how about you all stay fucking mad. Toodaloo.
There you have it. There's the opinions of one Australian lady, and I'm sure it's shared by a great many. So we'll keep going through some of these pictures here because, we've got some laughs in here. Good old ABC, another stinker. Wonderful reporting from the ABC. And here's a little bit of factual information that I found on the internet this week. Science fact, a dog gets more factual information from sniffing another dog's butt than a human does from watching the ABC. I'm inclined to agree with that. Not that I've ever sniffed a dog's butt or anything, but, sure, there's people out there that'll give it a go. There's all sorts of weird shit happening in the world these days. So good old protest groups joined forces. So, yeah, pro-Palestinian and Invasion Day. Like, seriously, if you're that pro-Palestine, can we just buy them a ticket and send them over to Palestine to go and fight? That, if it means that much to you, off you go on your bike. So, yeah, some more images. You don't really need to do that, I guess. This is a good one. Instead of getting rid of Australia Day, why don't we get rid of the fucktards who want to get rid of Australia Day? Sips to that. So, Senator Babette's been copping some shit. We'll just leave them comments down. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter because he's blurred out the name. I don't know why he blurred out the name. I think it would have been good of him to leave the name in there of whichever stunning reporter sent him this. But, as he says, the mainstream media journalists seem to be suffering a bad case of Babbitt derangement syndrome, similar to Trump derangement syndrome, I believe. It probably all comes under the same sort of leftist derangement order group there. But yeah, dear Senator Babbitt, after your diatribe against American Bishop and your ongoing love for all things MAGA, the Gestapo, I still don't see how that works, but anyway, I will no longer be referring to you in any news reporting as a senator. Well, that's rather disrespectful because that's his actual title and he got voted in. You will be referred to as an Australian Nazi. Yes, a Nazi, because that's who you are and that's what you support. At no point have I ever seen him support Nazi statements. And in fact, I challenge this weak, pathetic excuse for a reporter to actually provide said proof. Therefore, you are a Nazi, and that is what I will be calling you in all reporting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. We'll know who wrote this when he starts doing this, or she. I've been a journalist since I was 14, 1992, and did my cadetship in the 90s for Murdoch, a newspaper. Okay. So it could work on the wording here, I think. You are a Nazi, and as such, I have a moral obligation to inform the public of the truth and the facts. The fact is you are a Nazi. Okay, and what do you base these facts on? This alleged, what, the words of a reporter who works for Murdoch Media? Yeah, rightio. Good on yous. Well done. So in other news, as Trump's taken office, looks like we've got some people are going to be out of a job soon enough. I think that's a pretty fitting one there. Penny's got a few months left. Hopefully she'll be gone soon. Nice funny one for you all. Sips to that. You can imagine the amount of brown nosing that's going on at the moment. Gotta love the Photoshop work on this one. Kevin Dud and that guy with him can fuck off back to Australia. Gold. But, you know, what else have we got here? So let's remind the world of what Kevin called Donald. He called Donald Trump a traitor back in the day. Trump says Rudd is nasty. Can the US ambassador survive a Trump presidency? That is yet to be seen. But, of course, there is a little bit more to the Kevin Dud story, because it seems that Kevin has been caught up in an Epstein scandal, apparently. Not sure where that one come from. It's an interesting accusation. Might quickly just check to see if there's any supporting evidence of such. I mean, he is a part of the Labor Party, and I wouldn't be surprised. It's one of the things I was going to do a little bit earlier, but as always, I always run out of time. Yeah, it looks like it is an actual thing here, ladies and gentlemen. My fellow freedom lovers. Here it goes. I was blindsided. Kevin Rudd says he had no idea about think tank's ties to Jeffrey Epstein. There you go. Kevin Rudd says he was blindsided to learn that the late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein donated $650,000 to an international peace institute, a think tank that he has chaired and vice chaired for 6 years. Not looking good, Mr. Dud. Not looking good. The former Prime Minister was forced to declare that he had been on a telephone conference call also attended by Epstein in 2014. So how the hell does he not know then? And attended an event while an MP in 2013 in New York where Epstein was also invited, but has no recollection whatsoever of ever meeting the deceased financier. I don't recall. What other Labor pieces of shit have said that recently? I can't seem to remember. Maybe you guys can help me out. These people. So, speaking of duds, Labor has doubled down on its renewables, claiming the world is shifting to net zero. At the same time, US President Donald Trump has decided to unleash fossil fuels and withdraw from the Paris Accord. Well done, Mr. Trump. If only we had someone as intelligent as you running our country. Sadly, for those of you who think we can get away from this mess by getting away from the Labor Party and putting the Liberal Party in place, don't worry, the Uni Party is really going to continue. Doesn't matter which idiot you put in, whether it's the elbow or the Dudden, good old Dud, Dud Part 2, because we already had Kevin Dud. Now we've got Peter Dud. He's going to sell us out to climate change anyway. So it's like changing your socks, but you grabbed them out of the laundry basket. It still stinks. So Elon's got an interesting one I've seen here. I was actually looking for an earlier one where he's actually complaining about how if I see one more Nazi post, I'm going to go nuts. I'm sick of this algorithm. It's like, well, first I thought, Struth, it's on X. It's your algorithm. Maybe you should do something about it. But he kind of inflamed it, I guess, by making this statement here. So you can read that one for yourself while I bring up the video that, for those of you who haven't seen what actually transpired. So, wrong window. We need this one. Did it again. Video file. That's what I want. Where's good old Elon? So this is the moment where he got himself in trouble.
Victory feels like. Yeah! And this was no ordinary victory. This was a fork in the road of human civilization. Okay. This there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, important, some are not. But this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
There you go. It's, I don't think he really meant it. It's just hey, I love you guys. But of course, that's the kind of reporting we're going to see from the leftists, isn't it? They're just going to anything they can get a hold of, and any opportunity to call anybody that doesn't agree with them a Nazi. The leftist bag of insults. They always bring it out when they don't actually have anything to talk about. Astounding stuff, really. So, some more of the tragedies in Australia, around Australia Day. Gang violence again. Can't help but wonder how long these people have been in the country before they started turning into gang members. It's, police are looking into links between rival gangs and whether this was an act of retribution. So, ongoing gang violence, obviously. And the noticer had a little bit more to say about it. It says it's involving 50 thugs, many armed with machetes. It's amazing how the standard protocols sort of don't make it out as bad as it is. It's just, 2 teenagers shot and taken to hospital sort of thing there. I suppose I did say shot. But, this one, 50 thugs, it gives it a little bit more than just the 2 teenagers sort of thing. It's a bit bigger than this, isn't it? We've got a serious problem here. But, hey, let's import another 1 million people. Surely that'll solve the problem. So the fluoride thing's continuing to run rampant. I'd just like to remind the Townsville City Council, because I know you guys are watching as well, that your notice that I delivered to you has been received. I know you've got it. You've got a notice of default, and you've now accepted that you've broken the law by being unable to provide any evidence of the National Measurement Institute number. But Melbourne City Council seems to have their brains about them, and they have removed fluoride from the drinking, or to be removed from the drinking water of the cities of Melbourne, Melbourne Beach, India Atlantic, Indian Harbour Beach, Satellite Beach, Palm Shores, Melbourne Village, and parts of unincorporated Brevard Country. So more and more people are starting to realize this is a bad move. You better get that shit out because it's a neurotoxin. It's that simple. Yes, okay, it may strengthen bones and teeth. It also causes dental fluorisis. Have a look. Yay. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. Jacinta Price. Hopefully going to bring a good version of a Jacinta. We've seen so many bad ones, particularly for the poor people in Victoria. And again, the poor people who lived under a dictatorship in another Jacinta's dictatorship in New Zealand. Maybe this one could be good as a shadow minister for government efficiency, perhaps mimicking what Elon's attempting to do. It would seem that some of what's happening in America is already starting to rub off here in Australia. It could be a good move. Maybe if enough people pressure Dutton to not do this, We might be able to do something half decent with the Liberal Party. I do believe there's some potential there, but unfortunately, all the good ones seem to leave. So this one was brought to my attention by another viewer, that apparently if you click on the Patreon link, Google will block it for you. So if you're having trouble getting onto the Patreon link, you can do as this top bloke did and contact me, and I will happily send you the link so you can become a Patreon and help support the channel, because that would be awesome. Okay, Troy Thompson's released a whole bunch of different polls. Of course, in the lame stream this week, they were having a go at him again, saying that he's causing disharmony for the council. Personally, I don't think they need Troy's help. I think the council's doing a wonderful job of making themselves look pathetic and stupid. I don't think we really need to have to help them along. But hey, all he's doing is observing that which we can all see with our own eyes. So it's by these numbers, the people are generally not happy. In order to keep this brief, I'm not going to go through it all, but feel free to press pause or come back later and have a read for yourself. There's a fair bit there. You can go to Troy Thompson's page yourself. Personally, he won the election. Why the hell is he not in the seat? So, of course, trans actress Carla Sophia, whatever that is, makes Oscars history. Apparently, an Australian cinematographer heading for gold and more from today's Academy Award nominations. So the ABC don't seem to have a problem with this. And we can just drop that comment down, guys, because the response here is pretty important. So this lady, Angie, has gotten more likes for her comment than the entire ABC article did. A man being nominated for an Oscar in a woman's category makes Oscars history for all the wrong reasons. A lot more people seem to agree with that than the ABC's perception. So let's remind everyone of what we get from the ABC. Yep, it's another stinker. It's another stinker. Of course, while we're on the topic of trans, just remember, good old Klinger dressed like a woman. And if we can drop that comment down, please, to show that he was mentally ill. Wasn't that long ago. So that's enough fun and games there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's clear some of these things out. So a bit of space to work. Share screen. Let's have a look. So, of course, gun violence is getting to be a bit of a problem now after we've seen 2 people shot in Victoria. So Queensland Police are also getting into it. And I've got to love this. They're Operation Whiskey Firestorm. So what, are they getting pissed before they go out and sort this out? Who comes up with this shit? A high-impact statewide initiative designed to tackle the critical issue of firearm safety. Basically, in short, they're going to be going around and checking everybody who is a registered lawful gun owner who has not committed a crime, rather than going after the actual criminals. It's not those who lawfully own guns causing the problems. It's the people who, again, you could tighten all the gun laws you want as far as you want. The bad guys are still going to get the guns. The difference is we won't be able to defend ourselves from the people with guns. It's pretty simple stuff, Same reason, there's all these nuclear missile silos, apparently, It's, mutually assured destruction kind of prerogative. Well, if you do it, you're going to die too. Why can't we arm ourselves in the same way the government arms ourselves for self-defense? It's a mystery. So, yeah, we did the Captain Cook statue. And some people fly Australia flag outside their homes. And why not? In the centre of retired farmer Kev Jackwitt's neatly kept front lawn is a monument to childhood memories of yearning for peace. 88-year-old fella said he could remember thousands of World War II soldiers training at the rifle range near his Lowood farm in southeast Queensland, 70 kilometres west of Brisbane. Most of them had flags, and they were flying flags from sticks and bits of wood, and I enjoyed that. I'd think to myself, well, I hope the war is over. But they've started a different war instead, Interesting. Anyway, so Here's why Anthony Fauci needs a pardon. This is a good one. So President Joe Biden, in an extraordinary move, granted former federal health official, and I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Eyes are just not quite there today. Federal health official Anthony Fauci a preemptive pardon, while Fauci faces criticism for all sorts of things. Oh yeah, bloody oath. Mostly pushing localities and institutions into overly strict lockdowns and unending mask mandates. He might have been in legal trouble because it looks like he tried to cover up the origins of COVID-19 and his own agency's involvement with the Chinese research on coronavirus. Specifically, Fauci, who ran the infectious disease operation of the National Institute of Health, could have faced prosecution for lying to Congress, which is a federal crime. Yet Biden wanted to cover for him. I do believe that Trump may have countermanded that. I'll have to check it, but hopefully he has, because if anyone should swing, it should be him. Although I do think hanging's too good for some people. I think rotting in jail with a camera so we can watch it live like a Big Brother TV show is probably a better thing. You know, like we can all enjoy it then. People are interested in reality TV. I don't see why I can't make suggestions. Although I am a big fan of my game show idea, the Wheel of Misfortune. So for all those who have committed these crimes against humanity, they can spin the wheel of misfortune maybe once a month, drag them out of their solitary confinement for a little bit of social light entertainment. And they spin the wheel of misfortune and see what's going to happen to them this time. But there is a video to go along with this. So our good friend, Mr. RFK, had something to say on this. Just give me a second. That one.
Chapter of my book, which I think on Fauci, which I think is the most disturbing chapter. It goes through this history of pandemic preparedness simulations that occurred beginning in 2001. And each one of them had something in common. They ignored the pandemic preparedness protocols that had been agreed upon by the CDC, by WHO, by the European Medical Agency, by the National Health Service in the UK, of what do you do in a pandemic, because all of those protocols said you never lock down the public. You look for therapeutic drugs that are off the shelf, that are effective against these diseases. You get people to strengthen their immune systems, but you let society continue operating. That's what everybody in the health field agreed upon. But the military and spy agencies had a different pandemic protocol, and they were the inverse of what you would do of medicine. They were about locking down subjects, about using these pandemics as a pretext for clamping down totalitarian controls. And the last one of these was in 2019 in October. And it was hosted by Bill Gates, by Fauci, and by Avril Haines. I'm sure a lot of you have gone and looked at this on YouTube. It's called Event 201. That same week, Bill Gates, who was overseeing this simulation, bought 1.1 million shares of BioNTech vaccine, which later became the Pfizer vaccine. He then sold that, almost all that stock, 87%, 2 years later, at a $242 million profit. And a week after that, he publicly announced the vaccine didn't work. So this is what you call a pump and dump scheme. Because he was the guy who was on TV with his minion, Peter Hotez, who took $52 million from Gates for Gates made his institution. So you had the pair of them pumping up this stock for 2 years, and then dumping it a week before he goes on TV and says, oh, it didn't work after all.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. So that's why Biden covered for his good friend. But in other news, Trump, I don't think Trump's actually removed the pardon yet. I don't know if he can. That'd be an interesting one. But Trump did do this.
Administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters.
Hang on, not that one. Wrong Trump video. No, where did I put it? There it is.
Detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, sir. Do you have a comment?
No, I think, when you work for government, at some point your security detail comes off. And, you can't have them forever. So I think it's very standard. If it would be for somebody else, you wouldn't be asking the question. The question is very fair. But, you work for government. We took some off, other people too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government.
Is this be taken off, sir?
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something were to happen to, say, Dr. Fauci
No.
or John Bolton?
No. They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security too.
There you go. And as RFK pointed out, he made a shit ton of money doing dodgy stuff with his pump and dump scheme. Surely he can afford his own security. Why should the American public pay for it? They've already paid enough for having him in the CDC for as long as, or the NIH, or whichever one of his bloody places he was working for the last 40 years, where as we watched American and worldwide health go into a massive decline as he's allowed so many horrible things to come through. All right, where were we? Now we're up to there. Share. All right. So, President Joe Biden, an extraordinary move. We already did the Anthony Fauci one. So get on with life. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese brushes off Australia Day pub boycotts, but acknowledges difficult time for Indigenous Australians. Sad, isn't it? It's a difficult time for all Australians because of Albo. Great MAGA movement for Australia. Make Albo go away. Will it help? I don't know, because I don't have much faith in Dutton either. But anyway, he has refused to defend pub boycotts of Australia Day, reiterating his support for the National Day while acknowledging it was a difficult time for Indigenous Australians. Debate over Australia Day has kicked up a gear as the national holiday approaches, with protests pushing for a date to be changed, held in several major cities despite a marked shift against changing the date. A new poll revealed 69% of Aussies supported Australia Day on January 26th. Honestly, I really don't care, what day it is. It's, as I stated earlier, Australia Day used to be back in, the last weekend of July. I'd pull up the files, but actually, I do have that hard drive here. Give me a second. Maybe I can find them. It's always good to add weight to your argument with a few facts. So, let's see. Can I find it? It is on the Red Ensign video, which is a really important one for understanding the history of the flag, and it branches out into other things such as the usufruct situation, how the Americans came in 1908 and then set forth the precedents all through. You just go into the parliamentary websites and have a look at all the acts and bits and pieces that were created in 1910. No sooner had we colonized, had we been invaded from a certain point. You want to talk about invasion day, you want to get back to 1908 when the Americans come with their gun ports open. It's not a sign of friendship. So let's see now. Let's open up this hard drive. And 2 stories. Sorry, I got so much stuff here. Like it does my head in trying to figure out what I've done half the time. But here we go. This one's here. Okay. Let's open up these ones. I'll just bring that down for a second. So as you can see, what are you doing for Australia Day? July 30th, 1915. Australia Day, 26th of the 7th, 18. Australia Day anniversary, 1918. Australia, lest we forget, Friday, July 31st, 1900 to 1920. Or 2020, I don't know. I'm not sure how that fits, but anyway, it's kind of, it gets the point across, I think. Yeah, July 28th. So Australia Day has already had another date. Yeah, Australia Day, Adelaide, July 28th, 1916. So there's some historical fact. You know, it's already been changed. Does it matter? And like the lovely, well-worded lady in the truck had to say, they'd probably whinge about it no matter what day you put it on. It makes no difference. You know, some people will just never be happy. They need to drag other people down into their misery because misery loves company. Metallica, track 12, Black Album, 1991. So let's restore this. So Roger Cook and the WA Labor bolster support for WA's Jewish community. So after they've imported all these people that hate the Jews, they're going to spend $1.8 million towards establishing a Holocaust education center. I don't understand what goes through these people's heads. The country is in dire straits, in debt up to our eyeballs, and they want to spend $1.8 million on a Holocaust education center. Let me think. I envision this as you walk in and go, thanks to socialism, the Nazis were born. And here we have a socialist party, the Labor government. They are openly socialist, bringing forth a Holocaust education center. It does your head in. Really does. What a waste of money. We don't need that. We've got history books. People want to know. Go and look. You know, go. So many things to look up and see. Why do we need the museum? It's pointless. What does Donald Trump pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement mean for the world? Hopefully it catches on. The first day back, I love the way the ABC does this. On his first, let's zoom it in, shall we? Make it a bit easier for everyone to see, especially my blurry vision. On his first day back in the White House, President Donald Trump wasted no time dismantling his predecessors' climate policies and promising a new era of fossil fuel dominance. As promised, Trump withdrew from the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, one of dozens of executive orders he signed in hours after being inaugurated as the 47th president. Under Trump's marker, the fossil fuel industry was promised new horizons and renewable energy industries were put in the back seat of the American economy. In other words, we're no longer subsidizing failing technologies. Well, he is, at least. We shouldn't either. While it's not clear how many of these decrees will pan out as Trump intends, the consequences are likely to be felt across the world. And of course, you know, they explain to what it is, you know, their desire to, financially bankrupt everybody. What does this mean for the Paris Agreement? You know, and it's a whole bunch of left-wing crap, fundamentally. Feel free to go and read it yourself, you know. Having said that, what you did see, a lot of countries stepping up to fill the gap in the world, in a sense, continued to progress down the pathway of net zero. It's madness. So this is the United States, and they're saying it's the second largest contributor, right? But look at China. Why are we so worried about the United States? Why is nobody having to go at China? Look at it. It's just going through the friggin' roof. Here's your big problem. Where are you buying your solar panels from? Where are you getting your wind turbines from? I'm pretty sure it's all being manufactured, a large portion of it at least, being manufactured in China, along with all these batteries for this renewables garbage. There's your pollution to create your greener energy. Come on. Do the math, people. Makes no sense. And of course, here's little Australia. You can see we're a huge contribution to this global emission shit. So we should shut down the 2 or 3 bloody remaining power plants we have and let Blackout Bowen completely corrupt and destroy this country. I mean, look at all the shit that they've done, and getting rid of power plants and putting all this shit up. We've virtually achieved nothing. In the last 10 years, 403, by the end of it, 382. Fuck all. Absolutely fuck all. You know, it's mind-boggling. These people are absolute idiots. But of course, Albanese government commits another $2 billion to renewables investments as the United States unleashes fossil fuels. It's like, thanks, Albo. Thank you very much. Just another reminder of why we've got to make Albo go away. It's just nuts. Albo's continued to throw money at clean energy investments as part of the net zero transition, while in the US, I'll fix it for them. While in the US, Trump administration has bet on big oil. I do believe Trump had something to say about this. I believe it's this video.
Inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country. This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took, along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth.
There you have it. Words from his mouth, straight up. So what I also found interesting in the ABC article, once you get through the propaganda, is the general response from the public. If renewables are so cheap, how come power is so expensive? This government needs to be dumped. It's a pretty straightforward question. Very simple. It's just very telling. You know, it's a rather long-winded one that Trump is taking essential action to restore the economy and address falling living standards with all the trillions already donated to the renewable fairy tale. There has been no reduction in CO2 levels, as we've seen from the chart up here. Not much has changed. Oh, actually, that was a different one. This is in the Sky News article. That's the ABC article that had that. That's where we are. So as you can see, bugger all. Really has not changed a thing. All it's done is ramp the price of our power through the roof, while big renewable businesses reap all the rewards. Okay. The cause of global warming being CO2 is a theory. Thank you very much. Because CO2 is what's dumped into greenhouses to make plants grow. And again, for those of you who are interested in the science, go and have a look at the ice core samples going back to the days of megafauna, and you'll find CO2 levels were a lot higher. Hence, bigger trees, bigger animals, bigger life. Could it be a life-giving element? I wonder. So, and here, quite clearly, our nation has been crippled by the so-called level playing fields of tariffs. Yeah, it's not a level playing field if you put tariffs on it, is it? You know, another comment. I had an ex that spent way too much on the credit card, just like Labor is maxing out our credit card. Make Labor an ex. Where are Labor getting all this money from? They are spending money they do not have. They are sending Australia broke. Exactly. Albo and Blackout Bowen fail to read public opinion with renewables destroying the economy. Follow the money trail. It all leads to their socialist mates in China. Because again, they're not talking about this graph and how China is, wow, 11.4 billion to the United States, 4.19. That's a pretty big jump. That's almost triple. And it goes on and on. More people saying the same thing. The general consensus is that the media propaganda is not working, I think. So all the executive orders Donald Trump has signed, of course, you know, they kind of focused on all the ones that they don't like, you know. So, you know, of course, they're upset that he pardoned all the people that allegedly stormed the US Capitol on July 6th. And for those of us who watched the video back in 2021, they walked in peacefully, looked around and left. I don't know about this great riot. It's all fabricated by left-wing media. So, you know, Trump signed orders declaring illegal immigration at the US border a national emergency. Yeah, of course it is. Pretty obvious. Millions and millions of people coming in illegally. I mean, I think the key here is illegal. Very key term in all this. Undoing Biden's actions. You know, at a rally in the sports arena, Trump revoked 78 executive actions of the previous administration. I'll revoke nearly 80 destructive and radical executive actions of the previous administration, Trump said. Good on him. I don't see a problem. You know, of course, they're upset about the diversity thing. You know, Trump also rescinded executive orders that promoted diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI sounds like some sort of venereal disease or something. And rights for LGBTQ people and racial minorities, fulfilling promises to curtail protections for the most marginalized Americans. Again, you're making crap up. Again, the TikTok ban is an interesting one. We just want to stop it for 75 days so we can see what the hell's going on. It makes sense because, again, they tried to have it happen right at the beginning of his administration in July 19th. So regulatory hiring freezes. Trump's signed orders freezing government hiring and new federal regulations, as well as an order requiring federal workers to immediately return to full-time in-person work. So we no more laying about at home. You've got to come to the office. I will implement an immediate regulation freeze, which will stop Biden bureaucrats from continuing to regulate, Trump said, adding he would also issue a temporary hiring freeze to ensure that we're only hiring competent people who are faithful to the American public. What a horrible thing to do. Quick, hang him. But anyway, enough from the media. Why don't we hear what Mr. Trump had to say for himself? So, again, there's another good little video going around here. Oh, Struth. Still on that hard drive. I'm going to come back to another section. If you guys seen the mess that I'm sifting through right now, you'd understand why it takes a moment. So we're here. Try to keep it as orderly as I can. But when you got so much to sift through, it can get a bit messy sometimes. So where is he? Yeah, here we go.
Executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
So now that'd be good. Not only are we looking at the Kennedy assassinations, we're also looking into what happened to Martin Luther King. This should be good. Stay tuned. I'm busting to see this.
It's a big one, huh?
Creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE, designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations, holding former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, protecting women from radical gender ideologies, guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion, hiring and
So I like that one, you know. We've got to come back to it because it's very relevant to the difference in what is being said here in the lamestream, you know.
the state's protection against invasion, hiring in the federal government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions.
To make
Against invasion, hiring from radical
Yeah,
from the World Health Organization, protecting women from radical gender ideologies.
So this is protecting women from radical gender ideologies. But according to the lamestream, it's removing the safeguards for the minority groups. You know, let's get this wording correct now that I found it back here. So Trump also rescinded executive orders that promoted diversity, equity, and inclusion and rights for the LGBTQ people and racial minorities. What it actually is protecting women from radical gender ideologies so that men can't go into kickboxing rings and destroy women who haven't got the same bone density as a man. Horrible person, I know.
Guaranteeing the state's government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions.
to make America the world capital in artificial intelligence.
A requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately is a directive to the federal government ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration, as we've seen.
There you go. So it's interesting how, you know, you look at one side and then you look at the other side, find yourself well-centered, and you can see what's really going on. So there is obviously a huge list of it. Massive list of all the things he's done. Anybody can go and have a look at this. Lots and lots and lots. Straight from the White House itself. So for those of you who are interested in reading pages and pages and pages, you know, you can look it up yourself because I don't want to bore everyone to tears. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. So I've dropped that in the comments. And as always, it will be available on my TikTok. Not my TikTok. Telegram. My TikTok on the brain. Telegram is where you'll find it. Come over onto the Telegram where I share a lot more stuff than you can sort of share anywhere else. And speaking of sharing, I want to say g'day to our new Patreons too. Thanks for the few more people have jumped on board since the beginning of the year to help us out. It's been very good. Much appreciate that. There will be some stuff coming to you guys very shortly. So let's continue down the line here. Trump cuts off secretary detail for Dr. Anthony Fauci. We've already done that one, which, you know, I think it's why should they give him security? You know, why? As I said, he's got enough money. He can pay for it himself. Okay. Secret depravity of the Davos global elite. More sex parties than ever. NDAs for prostitutes. So NDAs are non-disclosure agreements for those who are unaware. Transsexual women and the most commonly requested sex act revealed. So all our richest, wealthiest people getting in there behind closed doors at Davos, telling us all how we should live, are engaging in all sorts of weird ass shit, which explains the LGBT ABC fucking to the power of fifth element or whatever. This is what it's all about, because these people are just as sick. You know, they want to bring depravity to everywhere. The secret depravity. Oh, look, there's that word again. The secret depravity of the global elite coming to the World Economic Forum in Davos has been laid bare, with escort agencies revealing that the demand for sex parties, NDAs for prostitutes, and transsexual women has increased. The forum, which I'm going to bring this up because, sorry, that medication's really fucked with my eyes, which is why I've stopped taking it, but the lasting effects are still there. The forum, which started on Monday, has welcomed more than 3,000 businesses and political leaders to the Swiss Alps, but not just global elite has flocked to the town, as escorts are more in demand than ever among those attending the event. And according to one website that organizes what it calls dates you pay for, many of the arrivals are enjoying sex orgies arranged by individuals who are booking multiple women at once. Since the start of the WEF, we've seen, so World Economic Forum, we've seen around 300 women and trans women being booked in Davos and the surrounding area. Wow. Interesting. This compared to about 170 women just last year. So are they going out for one big last party expecting this to all come crumbling down very soon? You got to wonder, what's the motivation to suddenly increase it? Or is it, I mean, it's dangerous getting into the mind of a maniac, but, you know, it is one of the only ways to truly understand your enemy. You've got to know your enemy. In terms of the number of bookings for commercial intimacy, it was another record year for us at the WEF. Wow. There were significantly more sex parties than previous years, obviously, when you got 300 over 170. Based on the amount of escorts booked, 300 by just around 90 customers. So that's, you know, 3 to 4 bookings per person if every one of them are involved. And it seems wealthy and powerful clients are also going to increased lengths to keep their sexual activities secret. Why? Aren't they all happy about it? Aren't they proud? You know, or are they waiting for Pride Day to celebrate? What has changed is that a lot of women in and around Davos have now had to sign non-disclosure agreements, Mr. Berger said, adding that these agreements were often in English. We suspect that this is the consequence of recent news about sex parties in Hollywood. So is this because they can't do it in Hollywood because it's too hot to do it there at the moment? Might have something to do with the fires. Hot, bad joke. Sorry, I wasn't actually intending to make a joke, but it just happened. So we'll go to a colder climate because, you know, I had a look at some of the footage and they all seem to be wearing some pretty heavy jackets. I know. Nothing bad going on here. They're just bringing these poor women in for, you know, to keep them warm at night, obviously, because it's a really cold place at the moment, you know. But maybe not, because here, anal sex is actually one of the most frequently requested things. There you go. Now, if you remember the other day, I was trying to compare that concept to fluoride. So 10 councillors sit around the table and decide that we should all be forcibly medicated through the water supply. And I mean, again, what point does it change to, well, 10 councillors have decided that everybody in Townsville can now become, you know, an anal sex slave? You got to wonder, where do you draw the line with these people telling us what they can and can't do when this is the kind of low-life scum that's doing it? So, of course, it's quite an extensive article. There's quite a bit there. I'll post it in there for everyone to share around. And because, knowledge is power. And I'm such a horrible, greedy bastard that I share power with you. So those who are hiding it from you should be worried about, I think. Scientists sound alarm about using mosquitoes to vaccinate humans. So for those of you who watched our What the Fuck program on Tuesday the other day, was it last week or was it the week before? So I'm getting a bit skewy with time at the moment. And we talked about how they want to bring in more genetically modified mosquitoes to Queensland to combat diseases that didn't really happen. And I forgot to grab the article. Not long after we did that podcast, the Townsville Bulletin started posting that they found a case of dengue fever because nobody found it in 5 years. So obviously trying to justify their use of genetically modified mosquitoes. But what's disturbing here is it might not just be to remove things such as diseases. It might be used to vaccinate humans. Very, very devious. Now, where's your informed consent when they do things like this? This is completely and utterly wrong on every level. Researchers in the Netherlands are developing a malaria vaccine that uses mosquitoes to inject genetically modified malaria parasites into humans. That sounds safe. Who wants to sign up for that one? Like, as we pointed out in the other week, what was it? You could actually buy your own little mozzie kit in Brazil. Where did I put that article? I think it's time to bring that one back in. By God, these people are nuts. It's, I think it's this one. Oh, yeah, here's the dengue virus found in Townsville. Yeah, of course, they that's the other article I was talking about. What we want here. It's around there somewhere. Anyway, go back and watch the other podcast. That's the easiest way. So, human clinical trials are underway to use mosquitoes to vaccinate people against malaria. Cardiologist Dr. Peter McCullough supported on his Substack. McCullough cited a paper published in the New England Journal of Medicine in November reporting results from a double-blind controlled clinical trial at 2 university medical centers in the Netherlands. The trial eventually evaluated the safety, side effects, and efficacy of immunizing people via mosquito bites using mosquitoes infected with a genetically engineered version of the parasite that causes malaria. What the fuck could go wrong with that? Come on, why aren't we all jumping for joy on this? Seriously, aren't you excited? For all of us here who are deathly scared of friggin' syringes and usually the idiots in white coats holding them, this could be revolutionary. But again, why do they need to do this? Because everybody woke up to what happened to the last lot? Maybe? Allegedly? It seems as if the world of vaccinology has ramped up to a feverish pitch with amplified research, massive funding, and no limit to the extent in which vaccines could be injected into humans. Researchers have been trying to develop a malaria vaccine since the 1960s. But I guess we're supposed to believe they could conjure one up to save us from COVID 1984. But they have been largely unsuccessful. It wasn't until October 2021 that the World Health Organization recommended the first malaria vaccine made by GSK for children living in sub-Sahara Africa and other high transmission regions. But they haven't found one that worked. What? Huh? Did I miss something there? 2 years later, the WHO recommended a second malaria vaccine developed by Oxford University and manufactured by the Serum Institute of India. The vaccines given to small children in 4 doses offer only modest and short-lived protection, 50 to 80% for less than a year. Wow. And are even less effective in infants in high endemic areas. Oh my God, these people are nuts. This is, you know, everybody's so keen to call people like Elon a Nazi and whatnot, but this is a lot more like the kind of things Nazis were doing. And I believe even this, some of the experiments being performed in Japan in World War II, are they going to put that shit in the Holocaust Museum? I recall seeing one documentary that the Allies were absolutely astounded to see what they were finding as far as human experimentation going both in Japan and Germany at the time. But of course, it inspired them to do all sorts of other things. For those of you who go, I think it's, I'll have to dig it up. I've mentioned it a few times, but I'll dig it up and I'll find it for you guys. There is a BBC documentary from back in the 80s that goes through and it demonstrates all the horrible things they did with human experimentation, particularly in America. Horrible shit. But hey, we can vote for them. We can trust them. They're only going to Davos for sex parties. What do you got to worry about? Madness. Utterly madness. Let's skip to the bottom. Huge article. I'll share this one for you again because there's so much in it. Don't really want to go through the whole thing. I'd like to get done this today. And of course, it goes to Telegram for those of you who want that one. I find Telegram a much better place to do these things because I know those comments aren't getting to everyone on every channel. So the last thing he says here, so Jablowski noted that 14 to 75 originally assessed participants were excluded for medical reasons. If such a vaccine were released, not only would a person not have foreknowledge of vaccination, they wouldn't have after knowledge of it either. If a medical condition arose, they would have no idea if they were infected with genetically modified protozoan. He noted that if in this study, 11 of the 75 persons initially assessed for participation declined to participate. If this strategy is implemented, they won't be asked if they wish to participate. Informed consent is the only power we have over our own medical autonomy. Neither the mosquitoes nor the government who use them are going to ask for consent. Pretty obvious stuff. These people are nuts. So I think this is the point where, sorry, YouTubers, I'll give you as a final sips. Come over to Rumble, Facebook, X, or whatever, because this is the point where YouTube and their infinite wisdom will tell us, no, you can't talk about these things. We know what's good for you. Here, take your genetically modified medicine. Yay! Sips to that. So, sorry, YouTubers. It's the end of the road for you guys.